Hi everybody, it's Julie for EllenHutson.com. Welcome to Hello Monday. Today I'm going to be making an interactive balloon card with scratch off stickers, but I'm also going to be sharing two different ways to create bokeh backgrounds. The first thing I'm going to do is grab some Inkadinkado masking paper. I love this stuff for masking. It's my favorite product for masking. I love it because you can die cut it or punch it into the shape that you need, as well as cut it with, by hand with your scissors. And I've die cut a 1¼ inch circle here, peeled off the backing and put that where I need it on a quarter sheet of Neenah's Solar White. I'm working with Catherine Pooler's water-based dye inks. I love these inks and I love the colors that I've chosen for this project, and I've got those listed down below in the description. I'm also using a stamp set called BOKEH Dots that was released a long time ago, but it remains one of my most favorite sets ever that I've created. And I start off with the largest solid dot and the palest color of ink first, and then I start moving down to smaller size solid dots and more intense colors of ink. So as I'm layering these colors and building it up, this is going to give me that really fun, colorful bokeh effect on a white background. Now I started out with 3 colors, and then later on I decided I wanted to add some mint. So I went over and grabbed that one and brought that in with the tiniest dot. And I just start randomly with about odd numbers of images, and then I just kind of keep building it up until the finished pattern looks pleasing to my eye and I don't have odd spaces of white space. So it feels really balanced at this point. So I'm going to peel away the sticker, and you can see how I have that space there. That's 1¼ inch circle. And I'm going to grab the hand that holds things and the Make-A-Wish sentiment from the Handful stamp set and position those right on that panel using my Mini Misty, and then I'm going to ink up with some black ink. This is VersaFine Nocturne. It's from the Claire line, and I love it. Now, you cannot use Copic markers with this ink. It'll smear, so I didn't think about that in advance because I was kind of winging how I was going to do the rest of this. But I did grab my colored pencils, no problem. I just grabbed some colors that looked kind of like skin tones to me and did some coloring, quick coloring and shading there of the hand, and I had to have some nice bright red polish there. So those are Prismacolor pencils, and I really like working with those. They lay down color like butter. Now I trimmed this panel down by about 1/4 inch so that it's got a 1/8 inch border all around when I mount it to my base card. And I die cut the hand out, and this hand is open on the bottom so that it will remain attached to that panel. You can always cut it away by hand if you want to, but I wanted to keep it attached. And then I'm going to come in with my scissors here and trim very carefully around the thumb. And this is going to allow me to slide things underneath that thumb, and it looks like the hand is gripping them. So before I get to that part, this is the interactive portion of this card. I'm going to grab one of these 1¼ inch scratch off stickers. They're by Inky Antics, and they are so fun because once you scratch off that silver material, and I know in my still shots they show up black, but it had to do with the exposure settings on my camera, and I had a heck of a time photographing them, but they actually show up silver. So I'm using some silver cord here to go through the hole that I pierced there underneath what's going to be my scratch off balloon, and then I'm going to thread that there underneath the hand. And you may need to use a little bit of adhesive there. I'm just determining right now how much length I need. I'm going to trim that off, then flip it over to the back side and put a little bit of tape runner there where the thumb is. And I'm going to add some of those 3D foam squares. These are the thin ones. I just want a little bit of elevation on that portion of the hand when this gets mounted to the base card. This whole thing is not going to be 3D popped up, but I did want the hand to kind of pop forward on the card. So a little bit of this foam square is going to help with that. And then I've got some tape runner there on the back of the thumb, and that's going to help anchor the piece of twine there when I get that situated underneath the thumb. And so then it occurred to me that, my cord was not laying as flat as I wanted, and I was like, oh, because I'm going against the grain of the cord in the way I taped it to the backside when I secured it. So I'm just going to flip it upward, and that way it will lay much flatter because I'm not going against the grain of the ribbon, a resist, in the direction of the ribbon or cord. And then I'm going to take another little piece and just tie a little bow there at the top, and this is just going to make it look like the balloon is tied onto a string. Now this is a little bit finicky because you're tying such a tiny bow. I had to make it bigger and then, tighten up and fuss with it a little bit to make it tighter. And then I trimmed off the excess and then came in with some clear drying liquid adhesive. This is On Point glue, but you could use any clear drying like glossy accents, and put that over the knot and let it sink down to the underneath the knot, and that will anchor it all to that spot there on the card front so it won't slide around and the bow won't come undone. Now while that's drying, I'm going to make another version of bokeh, and I took another quarter sheet of Nina Solar White, and I've got that same mask that I used on the first project, and I've laid that in a slightly different position here on the panel, and then I'm using those life-changing brushes by Picket Fence Studios and loading up with colors. And this time I started with the yellow, and then I'm going to come in with the Bellini and then keep layering these colors together. I'm just going randomly. Boy, I cannot even begin to tell you how much I love working with these brushes. I do not have fatigue on my arm when I use them. I've got tendonitis very badly in my right arm, and every time I try to blend, I always have trouble, but not with these brushes, and I'm so happy they came out with these brushes. Picket Fence Studios, I love you for these life-changing brushes. I really do love them. And it makes blending so easy for me and a joy. So I had almost given up on ink blending until I got these brushes. So now I'm going to remove the mask just to show you how well it works. And then I turned around to grab something and I lost it, so I had to cut another one to replace it. And I'm putting it back on there because I'm going to do some stamping now with that same bokeh dots, the solid dots in that bokeh dot stamp set, with Hero Art's Unicorn White Pigment ink, which is a really fun way to get this effect. So I'm just going to randomly go over the entire top of this blended panel with this ink. And I'm not too concerned if the initial images I stamp are not super intense white. If they fade out a little bit, it's okay, because it just further enhances that bokeh effect that we all love in photography. And I'm just going to keep going and with gradually smaller images, and then if I feel like I need a little bit more, I can come back in with any of those different size solid dots and add more pigment ink. And some of them may be a little bit more intense than others when I stamp them, just to recreate that bokeh effect. And there you can see how pretty it looks. But because it's pigment ink, it is going to take a while to dry, and you can sit there and let it dry all day, or if you got time, grab your heat gun and just sit there and heat set it really quickly. So I did all that, and then I did the same effect as I did on the other card, and I'm sorry that these silver stickers are showing up black in my photography. I'm not really sure why, except it had to do with exposure or something when I was shooting it. And there you have it, an interactive scratch-off balloon card with a bokeh effect. Thanks for watching.